If your family members want to read your writing, but you're feeling anxious because of what you've written, how do you go about that? Do you avoid letting them read it? Do you hide the story and decide to keep it to yourself so no one asks questions? Or do you just let them read it and face the consequences? We're discussing all that in today's video, so be sure to stick around. Let's get started! Hey guys, Nour here and welcome back to my channel. And for those visiting for the first time, hello, I'm the fantasy author of the novel Divinity Falling. Be sure to subscribe for weekly writing advice videos. I don't know about you, but I used to get really weirded out by friends and family reading specific scenes in my stories. I didn't want them knowing that all those scenes happened inside my head before they made it on paper. So I used to be quite anxious about what I allowed them to read. However, as I got older, I eventually got over that fear and started sharing freely. Still, I know that a lot of writers, especially young writers, might feel nervous sharing their writing with family or even friends. If you fall into that boat, maybe you're too scared about those closest to you judging your work and telling you it's bad. Or maybe you don't want your mom and dad reading a sex scene you wrote. Or maybe you're worried about someone's reaction to reading something personal you've gone through. No matter what the case is, it's normal for writers to feel this way. We are human beings, and our work taps into our passions, which tap into our emotions. So if you feel nervous to share your work, know that you're not the only one. My advice to you is to do what makes you comfortable. If it's extremely nerve-wracking to share your work with friends and family, then don't. You can also share select things you are comfortable with. Do what you want, and if you get pressured to share your writing, tell them it's not ready yet. Or be honest and say it's personal and private. You'd be surprised how many people will understand your need for privacy. Personally though, I've stopped worrying what family and friends think of my writing and what's in it. In college, a professor told us that writing should be authentic, meaning that you shouldn't force your beliefs onto your characters. If something needs to occur that you or your family don't necessarily like or agree with, or maybe makes you uncomfortable, then it should happen regardless of those personal beliefs. If it's true to the story and the nature of your character's world, then it makes sense to be written. Whether your characters cuss like a sailor, or maybe do illegal things that would land them in jail, or maybe act in a way that your parents would disapprove of, is not a reflection of you. It just portrays real characters in their own nature. So when my professor put it that way, I stopped being so personal about my work. The good, the bad, and the ugly in my stories don't reflect who I am as a person. They merely create my story world. And from that point onward, I just share my work with family and friends without even explaining myself. I just let them think what they think. And honestly, I've come to realize that family and friends understand that my stories are just stories. They don't give me a hard time for anything I've written. And if at any point anyone does ask me why I've written something they're offended by, I will either tell them that that's the character's nature and not necessarily my own, or tell them that we don't all have to agree about the same thing. That's just the nature of life. We can all agree to disagree. Now, I can't just tell you to give your story to people when you're not comfortable doing so. That's a personal choice only you can make. But just know, your main goal is writing an authentic story with authentic characters. Everything else comes second. And your stories don't necessarily reflect who you are. And if they do slightly, because let's face it, we all put a little of ourselves in our books, then you could tell people that we don't all have to agree about the same things. Have courage in your work, and don't let anyone pressure you into writing inauthentic characters just for the sake of fitting into their perfect little box. So that's all I have for you today. I'd love to know, what part of your writing have you ever been nervous to share with your family and friends? Let me know in the comments. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. I put out weekly writing advice videos that will take your story to the next level. Also, don't forget to follow me on social media to see what I'm up to from day to day and to chat with me. And before we go, I just want to give a quick shout out to Sarah Frayne, Lori B, and Alan J. Early for my shout outs here over on Patreon, as well as all my amazing patrons. Thank you all so much for your support. I really appreciate you. And remember, Nour for president!